Well, hi there. Warm welcome. You're watching Blueprint Explosive Exclusive, and I'm Meghna Deka. Well, should you go to the Statue of Liberty? Maybe, maybe not. Is the Yellowstone Park off limits for you? What about the Smithsonian Museums and the Liberty Hall? Well, don't be surprised if you get a board outside there saying no entry. Wondering why? Well, we all know that the US government is in shutdown mode. But what does it mean if you want to travel to America? Does your travel itinerary need to be tweaked? Will public washrooms be available and surfaced? What will happen to your pending visa? What about the Desis who want to migrate to America? Will your H1B visa process get stalled during the American lockdown, the shutdown? The most importantly, how long will this American government shutdown last? Well, stay with us over the next 30 minutes and we are going to tell you how the devil lies in the detail. So let's begin. Well, your H1B visas will face a bit of a pause. Already you have $100,000 price tag, which has virtually killed the American dream for the Indian Desis. This shutdown will only make those whose application is under process wait a little bit longer. Why are we saying that? We are going to break it up for you. First, H1B visas. Now, this comes from the Department of Labor funding. However, that has been snapped off. The Department of Labor's funding has been snapped off under the new government shutdown. The impact of this is going to be that the processing will take much more time than it should at a regular basis. What about labor condition applications, LCAs as they are called? Well, the Office of Foreign Labor Certification is currently offline because of the US government shutdown. This impact is going to be that there are going to be no LCA impacts because the H1B process gets impacted. No LCA impact is going to be on the H1B process because that itself will be impacting the process. You have green card and work permit issues. Let's tell you how that's likely to be impacted. Citizenship and immigration services are open. So that's the bit of good news because most of their income is not really coming in from the appropriation from the government. It is actually coming in the billing. So that continues to be open. So there's going to be no impact on these services. Meanwhile, let's also tell you about the warning which is coming from the American Embassy in India. What does it say? That the X account is not going to be updated regularly except for the urgent safety and security information which needs to be given. Now, this is very important. If you are relying on the American Embassy to give you detail on social media X, then they are unlikely to keep updating it. This means it could just hurt visa services because, of course, they are not working at full staff with full power. Also, passport services may just be hit because of the disruptions in the services of the American Embassy. Well, it's already day 2 of the US government shutdown. Remember, it happened yesterday. But there seems to be no end in sight. No side seems to be willing to compromise. The Trump Sarkar shutdown had happened when the Congress did not agree on a budget. In America, now it's important for us to understand how the American system works. In America, the Republicans and the Democrats have failed to agree on a deal to keep the federal government funded. If you need to make a parallel in India, for example, it's like if our lawmakers don't clear the budget, then the government will not be able to go ahead with the planned spending. So it's tantamount to that, what's happening in America. In case of a shutdown, non-essential functions stop in America. But even the essential services are not without any hurdles. Imagine you are made to work without a paycheck at the end of the month. That's what happened. Even the army men there are not going to be paid. It is essential, but it is now going to be on furlough. Many people are being put on furlough as well. Well, such is the situation of air traffic controllers as well as others who are working at airports across America. And of course, anything that impacts American airports functioning will impact you if you want to travel to America. So as travelers, you should be ready to accept a lot of things. There may be long queues that you face because there simply won't be enough staff available at American airports. Longer wait times are also possible. There's a possibility that there may be flight delays as well. There can be chances of you missing your connecting flight. So don't get surprised if you get a message that your flight has been cancelled. You can expect limited air safety oversight as well, because the shutdown, remember, brings furloughing of crucial employees of non-essential services. Well, amidst this US shutdown, the US Embassy in India, as I was telling you, they said that their account may not be updated regularly till full operations resume. However, there is going to be an exception which will be made for urgent safety and security information. So your visa passport services may just get impacted, as we are telling you, because all of this flows together. So you need to plan your itinerary. It's very important. If you already have a visit planned to America, what do you need to do? Let's tell you what's open, what's not, what you may have to work upon. Well, the Statue of Liberty. This is in Ellis Island. The good news is it is open, but the services on the Statue of Liberty, when you go to the Ellis Island, that may be restricted. Some of it may be hurt, but the statue per se, you can definitely go there on your cruise. You can do a round of Ellis Island. Ellis Island per se is open. Some services, however, may be impacted. Second thing, well, the biggest tourist attractions of America, of course, are the national parks, such as the Yellowstone, for example. There is a lot of furlough which has been handed out to employees. For example, 9,296 out of the 14,500 employees have been furloughed in the national parks. What does it mean? That they have enough employees to ensure that the trails are open. So you can definitely go there on a trail, but services, anything which is an indoor area which requires a certain amount of service to be given, those services are going to be impacted. But the trails are still open at these national parks, but those peripheral services, be it the food, be it the cafe, be it the washrooms, all of that may be impacted. Let's tell you about the USS Constitution Museum. This is there in Boston. It's a big tourist attraction. This, however, has been closed to public till we figure out what next. The JFK Presidential Library, which also houses a magnificent museum, this is there in Boston. This is also right now closed to public. We don't know what happens in future, but right now it is closed to public. You have the Smithsonian museums, which are there in Washington, very famous, some of the best collections that they have of art, of history, of every possible kind of collection. Unfortunately, they are functioning with reduced operations. The Liberty Bell. This is in the Independence Hall Tower. Remember, this is in Philadelphia. This is also going to be partly closed. So a lot of these tourist attractions that you may be headed towards, we really would advise that you have a word whether or not it is closed or partly operational. Do a bit of research before you go. But now, viewers, this isn't the first time that we are seeing a shutdown in America. Remember, that's what we can take some hope from. There have been several such shutdowns which have happened since 1976. In fact, for Trump, this is the second one in his second tenure. The one which we are currently undergoing right now is something which kicked in on the 1st of October yesterday, and this is still ongoing. But the longest one was in Trump's first term. This was in 2018 to 2019, and this lasted 35 days between December and January. Before that, in 2013 also, there was another federal government lockdown that we have seen now. This lasted 16 days in 2013. Between 1995 and 96, you had another one of the similar shutdowns, which happened for 21 days. There's another one which happened in 1995 that is, which lasted for only 5 days. But between the 1980s and the 1990s, there were multiple such shutdowns which happened of the government, and all of these shutdowns lasted between 1 to 3 days each. Even in this one, remember, this is going to come up for vote again tomorrow on Friday. But we'll have to wait and see this Trump versus Dems, the Democrats as they are being called, the Dems. Will they actually manage to break any ice? We'll have to wait and see. So the biggest impact is going to be on jobs. In fact, Vice President J.D. Vance has already said that he doesn't believe in the shutdown, that he doesn't believe that the shutdown is going to be lengthy, adding that Moderate Democrats are cracking a little bit, but he's warned of firings and federal workers ahead. Now, this is very disturbing because many are saying Trump is not looking for a middle ground, that the president is actually now looking at firing and reducing the entire number of workforce when it comes to the government functioning, which is why things seem to be a bit uncertain. Listen in to what J.D. Vance has to say.
If this thing drags on for another few days or, God forbid, another few weeks, we are going to have to lay people off. We're going to have to save money in some places so the essential services don't get turned off in other places. That is the reality of the government shutdown that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have foisted upon the administration.
So let's break it down for you. What does it really mean? The White House has said that there are going to be job cuts to begin. Now, this is disturbing because already there are possible of mass layoffs which are likely in 2 days. People are going to lose their jobs. That will again further impact the functioning of the government and the efficiency, especially if you want to travel, migrate, or else go to America to work. Stressful time for workers. Imagine the ATCs, the air traffic controllers that we are talking about, 13,227 of them are going to be working without pay, and they have a very crucial, very integral part to play as well, because they are ensuring that everything is fine when it comes to controlling the air traffic, which is why travelers to US will also get impacted by this government shutdown. What's going to be the impact on the travel economy? The loss of $1 billion per week is likely. This is just a rough estimate coming in from the US Travel Association. There's a possibility of $1 billion per week loss to the American economy just because of what is happening right now, the government shutdown. And as we were telling you, taxing time, of course, for the tourists. Because as we were just telling you, popular tourist spots are likely to be impacted. As we were just telling you about the Statue of Liberty, that may be open, but Ellis Island, that the Statue of Liberty is on, is going to be impacted. For example, you go to watch the Statue of Liberty, you may go there on a cruise, but the washrooms may not be serviced. Those are the kind of practical problems that you may be facing. There's also H1B visas, as we were explaining, they may hit a pause. Even though the visa servicing per se may not be impacted, the LCAs are likely to be impacted. So let me go across to Ashwini Kakkar, who's joining us, the managing partner of IndVenture. Ashwini, thank you so much for speaking to us, because we are looking at what are the trends that Indian travelers to America now need to follow. Yes, we are all aware that the shutdown has happened. But now that you're part of the travel industry, do you see palpable anxiety amongst travelers? What should they brace themselves for?
Well, I certainly think that these are difficult times for all travelers, and everybody should exercise a lot of caution. And now, there have been 3 shutdowns in the United States. The first one was in Clinton's time, the second one in Obama's.
Yes.
Also in Trump's time, but that was in his earlier term. Now, this is probably the 4th shutdown that is happening. And in the last shutdown, which was also in Mr. Trump's time, about 35 days of shutdown happened, and yes, that cost the travel and tourism industry itself more than $5 billion. Like you said, it's about $1 billion a week, which was during the last time. Yes. This time, it may end up being even more. Now, clearly, there's a lot of things that happen during a shutdown. All non-essential operations obviously cease completely. Only protection of human life and property.
Oh, well, a bit of a bother there with the video audio link. We'll try and get that fixed. But as we are showing you on your screens, that's what's open, that's what's closed. And even Ashwini was pointing out, non-essential travel could be avoided till the shutdown really ends, because there seems to be a lot of uncertainty. Remember, there seems to be no end to this deadlock that we are seeing in America. What had happened in the past? Let's tell you about a bit of a history. What had happened in the past is that in the first term, when there was a 35-day long shutdown of the government, Donald Trump was at least having conversations. He did not say that we are going to continue with this. This time around, however, this is very different. And I'll bring you in, Ashwini. This time around, there seems to be no end to the deadlock. You, in fact, have the president coming out and saying that we are willing to fire people. We are willing to not just put them on furlough, but fire people. Does that impact air safety? Does that impact services, Ashwini?
And the worst thing is that nobody knows whether this is going to last for 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, or how long this is going to last. Obviously, there will be curtailment of safety and law enforcement. There will be huge amounts of travel delays. There will be delays of regulatory approvals. There will be immigration issues because the H1B visas will probably get completely shut down, and visa services themselves would get restricted because some elements of the visa giving process will not report to work, and social security will not be paid out. So there's loads of things that will happen. But as far as travel and tourism is concerned, I think there will be much longer airport waits. So every passenger who's going to travel to the United States, please count on very long airport waits, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours, it could be anything.
So the delays are likely to be there in airport security across American airports, but also immigration. Immigration may also be one of the problems where you are expected to see longer queues. So the advice which is coming in from the travel industry is that if you have to fly to America, if you can't postpone it, be there early, because you can expect longer queues. If you have a visa or if you're waiting for a visa, well, that wait may be a bit longer. But if you really must travel, brace yourself. Well, we are still hoping that there is going to be some end to this deadlock. We'll have to wait and see, because remember, this bill comes in for voting again tomorrow. Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. Well, with that, a short break. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you in 2 minutes.